Technolotics.
I belong to the bed.
Welcome to episode 25 of Technolotics.
Word.
Dig me. This week's headlines. Oh no, we don't do that, but we can do that.
We could do
Let's
that.
do that.
Let's do that.
Okay, you do it.
Okay. This week's headlines. PS3 Sexclusive. Farewell, A Battery. We miss you. Bye bye. Google News. In a surprise twist, from our normal week's showings.
We never do that.
Yeah, we never do that. Short stories. Short stories. A little boy went into the woods.
That was your story.
Oh no.
It ended badly.
Yeah. And our weekly Pimp of the media. All that and more. Now.
I think we should do a fade here. Fade. Okay. And on to our first story. In shock news, it has been revealed that the PS3 may not be all that we were expecting. I'm shocked
I'm appalled.
and horrified.
Yeah.
Terrorized.
Can you not
A
see
small
it in our-
Bosnian village.
Yeah. In our eyes. The horror. The horror.
It
Where's the
amongst
Kleenex?
Sally.
Where's the Kleenex? I need to blow my nose.
Oh, okay. Alright, so essentially, Kickazoo, a website I've done some writing for in the past, have broken a story, and the site's broken as a result. And the story is this: PS3 dev kits have finally arrived, so you can see how good the console really will be. Turns out, it's not as good as all that.
No.
If you were watching that Killzone trailer, which awed many and made a few a bit skeptical, then you will be disappointed to find out that, in fact, the graphics don't live up to the trailer. Supposedly, that was pre-rendered. Shock!
No! Never!
So do you lie! Well, here are the pluses and the minuses so far known and broken today by KissKazoo.com. So, games do have full dynamic real-world lighting, so lots of cool shading and lighting effects and enormous worlds of great detail. Depth of field, so some nice movie effects like zooming in and blurring in the background, that kind of thing. Subsurface scattering, so realistic skin, also good. High-res textures, so your little kind of wank game that you buy from some dodgy Dutch site will have a realistic poon. Materials physics, complex fire, etc. Very good. On the negatives, hardware barely superior to the Xbox 360, which hasn't impressed me, to be honest.
No. There's very few games that come out for it.
And they haven't been too revolutionary. Some nice shading, that's really it. So, nice work in progress, but try harder. Also, yeah, as we stated, graphics don't live up to some of the pre-rendered trailers. Apparently, it can perhaps just about pull off the Metal Gear Solid style footage we've seen, but that was all pre-rendered too. So it's really time will tell on that one. On the plus side, there is more on-screen action supposedly supported, so it is a more powerful console, and while the graphics aren't going to be much better, you might get more guys to kill at once. Woo! Or whatever. But that's really it. I mean, we've also got a tentative launch date, and this is really disappointing. Okay, launch date. Later in the summer in Japan, autumn in America, and next fucking spring in Europe.
Give you time to save up, though.
Yeah, give you time to save up, because it's probably going to cost like what, €5,000 anyway.
Yeah. And a liver.
And a liver.
And a liver.
You're not going to be able to sell yours because a coronified liver is worthless.
I've just ran a few pints through just to make sure it works.
Checking the equipment.
I mean, they say exercise is good for your body, so I mean, I'm just exercising bits of it.
Some bits less than others.
Yeah, definitely.
Some bits not at all. But on to our next story about the exciting world of batteries.
Hooray! Yeah, I tell you, it's important on Christmas Day.
It certainly is.
Maybe in your bedroom.
Well, Jesus, I have to please the ladies. Since the operation, they're sorely disappointed when they see the nubbin. I mean, what can I do?
The nubbin. Oh my. Anywho, onto batteries. And you may be surprised, or you may not be, to discover that your simple AA battery hasn't really changed from the first design that was come up with by Alessandro Volta in the 19th century. So there's been 200 years and batteries have been pretty much the same in all that time. So MIT's Laboratory for Electromagnetic and Electronic Systems are using nanotube structures to improve on a device called a ultracapacitor. Now, a capacitor stores energy as an electrical field, and they're more efficient than standard batteries, which get their energy from chemical reactions. However, ultracapacitors have advantages over batteries. They have a 10-year lifetime. They're not susceptible to shocks or high temperatures, humidity, anything like that. So, they sound great, except for one slight problem. They can't store as much electrical charge as a battery. They in fact store 25 times less. Which means you need, get equivalent of an AA battery, you need something 25 times as big. So like, beep, to like, it's growing!
It's very operatic.
Anyway, so these guys at MIT have come up with a new way of building these ultracapacitors using nanotubes. Now these nanotubes essentially make it far more efficient. These ultracapacitors, oh my god, turn the page. Stop. Hey. Okay, so you also have, of course, the alternative is fuel cells, which are being developed by NEC, Hitachi and Toshiba, and them and Stanford University have recently come up with hydrogen fuel cell batteries which use tiny channels to deliver fuel to the cell's heart, defeating the difficulty of the too quick, inefficient burn-up of fuel. I'm laughing. Bogger accent, I apologise.
It's the delivery that's getting me.
Okay. Okay. So we have two possibilities for replacing your simple AA battery. Ultracapacitors and fuel cells. Now, the problem with fuel cells is how to refuel them. You can't exactly pull up to the petrol pump and go, "Just give us an old drop there of fuel cell fuel." Daisy. She'll go, "Right, jar." And the other problem is you can no longer charge your batteries from the mains, so you can't actually just bring your laptop, which runs on a fuel cell, and plug it in, and Bob's your uncle, Mary's your aunt, your laptop is running, and you can, watch all those movies you've downloaded. Don't tell Mammy. So, slight problems that need to be worked out in the meantime, and hopefully both of these solutions might be able to give you far better battery lifetime, and hopefully not, end up with your MP3 player dying after 4 hours of, one same album over and over, because they're dying.
I see your true colours, and that's why I love you. So of course, yeah, lots of manufacturers of laptops, MP3 players, especially the new video style MP3 players,
yeah,
which we'll get to later. But crying out for more juice, more time in the battery, more power for multimedia applications, and a severe deficit. Things like the PSP and like the iPod not running to the lives that they claim, and it's a big difficulty, and it's a dodgy technology, so batteries are really being pushed to the limits of the current technology.
Yeah.
So people are getting dead batteries quite a bit, things like this. So we really need a new technology. These are two
They
possibilities.
really haven't changed. It's been a dead end for 200 years.
Even the Egyptians had batteries which ran on roughly the same principles.
So, I mean, wow, shocking. They managed to develop one thing with chemicals and went nowhere. And you've been stuck with this for the last 200 years. It's also more important because this stuff might be running your car someday. So you need something, oil is going to run out. So you're looking at probably electrical cars or hybrids, which need batteries, which need to be recharged.
So like when you breed a man with a dog, and you ride him to work. A hybrid man dog.
Hybrid man dog. What is going on in that head of yours? I don't even want to know. Do you?
I meant non-sexually, by the way. Moving on.
Anyway, they're going to be in cars, so good battery technology is vital.
It is vital. It's as important as an end to nuclear proliferation.
Exactly, because if we develop a clean energy which provides electrical power, such as fusion, or maybe antimatter.
Or 0 point energy.
0 point energy, something like that. You're going to need some way to store that energy and just hand it out in some form that people can carry around their little iPods. Or
Like, for example, a golden ball of energy would be.
yeah, exactly. You just hold it on a piece of string and it just comes down your arm and into your device.
That would be legend. I think we'll start working on that straight after the show.
Exactly. You just, you put your finger up in a thunderstorm and like you get an instant jolt just when it's dying.
I think
They control the weather and everyone just puts up their fingers, you get an instant boost.
I can say it now. Legend.
Fantastic.
Moving on to our next story.
This story is about Google. Yes. Shock horror, we're talking about Google again. Now, this week, Google released Google Desktop 3.0. I think it's beta at this stage. And this update, among its many features, is it allows users to search multiple computers and share content with other desktop users, So people you can share files that you have on your computer. So, I don't know, your work documents or PDFs or stuff like this. Obviously, nothing copyrighted. Nothing like that. So, obviously everyone thinks this is a fantastic idea, of course, because it's like Google can do no wrong, many people believe. However, the electronic EFF, what is it? Electronic Freedom
Frontier Foundation.
I was trying to think.
Fish Foundation.
Fish Foundation.
No, that's you. You're the Fish Foundation.
Oh, fine. I'll just sit here and be insulted.
The Drink Foundation.
Yeah, I'm the Drink Foundation. Anyway, the EFF have urged consumers not to use this software or to turn off the sharing of files feature because, quite simply, the information is stored on Google servers. What does that mean? That means that it's much easier for the government or other people to get hold of your files because they're not stored on your computer. When they're stored on your computer, it's much, much harder for the government or someone else to get hold of your files because they're in your possession. But the legal framework that exists for protecting content held on remote servers is quite low, and the government only needs something like a subpoena to get your data. However, if they want to come into your home and get your data, they have to go through a judge and get a search warrant. Much, much harder. Same thing with someone who's trying to sue you. Say, I don't know, you've got an ex-wife who's trying to sue you for something, and she thinks there's files on your computer that show, I don't know, maybe you're having an affair or something like this. But like, if that information is stored on Google servers, she can go to Google without actually contacting you at all. So you might know that she's actually getting this information or has obtained it, and you mightn't be able to stop her until it's all done.
You'll be pumping that whore full of alimony faster than you can say Google.
Exactly. So the EFF have called on Google to actually work with them and petition Congress to actually improve the laws regarding privacy on remote servers and storage of that kind, because really you're leaving yourself open for anyone to grab your information. Plus, there's the obvious problem: if someone actually gets a hold of your account information on Google, they have the ability then to access a lot of your files if they're stored remotely on Google. I mean, you're opening another back door into all your information, which could be quite sensitive, or at least stuff you don't want anyone else to know about. So I mean, it's
protected by something which is only as strong as your Google password.
Yeah.
You might risk it for email, but would you risk it for your entire computer?
Exactly, and sensitive personal stuff. So I mean, it's dodgy. Plus, Google haven't ruled out the possibility that they might use the information for marketing purposes at some later stage. So they might actually end up scanning these documents for words to send you, I don't know, information on marketing, or change your Google desktop so that ads fly up depending on the stuff you've written about in your documents. So I mean, there's nothing in the Google Terms of Service that actually stops them from doing this. So they're not doing it at the moment, and they're saying they're not doing it, but there's nothing to stop them doing it at some stage in the future. And you've agreed to this, that they can do this. So I mean, be careful what you do. Fine if you're okay with it, if you're okay with putting it up, but just be aware of what you're doing here and what you're handing away.
If any other corporation or company did this, it would really be malware. It'd be essentially treated as a rootkit. But because Google do it, okay, it's not affecting any baseline drivers, it's not changing the behavior of your operating system, but it's creating a huge tear in the security of your computer.
It's a massive backdoor.
So just don't accept it. Just because Google's doing it doesn't mean it's fine. They don't sit around playing with silly putty all day. It's not their only hobby. Making a vast amount of money and becoming the world's largest corporation is also on the agenda, and that isn't necessarily in keeping with the don't be evil profession of a philosophy. Who even knows what their motivation is?
Who knows? Maybe it's just badly thought out by them. They didn't realise the ramifications. Who knows? Maybe someone's going, oh, I see. In Google right now going, oh, I realised, oops. People could do this, but
these are smart
who
guys.
knows?
So let's assume that what they do is intended rather than accidental. And I'm going to move the mouse so you can see this lovely tiki bar lady in more clarity.
Tiki bar.
I really should have turned off the parasailing feature. There she is.
Yes.
Gorgeous.
Also, this week, just another quickie from Google is they integrated Gmail and Google Talk this week. So you can now talk to your friends from within the window of Gmail. So obviously this is another way to try and integrate the two together. Gmail, pretty popular. Google Talk, not really that popular in comparison to AOL, 57 million users of AOL, 27 million of MSN networks. Google hasn't actually released how many people talk with Google Talk.
We've estimated it's about 3.
Yeah, me, you, and Jason. Yeah, so they said it's in the millions, but who knows, who can tell. Now, I've used it to chat one or two people. It's okay, it's not exactly revolutionary, but I mean, if you keep your email open all day, as often I do, it's alright. And plus, it saves all your chats. So that might be something handy.
Or it might be something dodgy.
It might be something dodgy, depending on how you think about it. I mean, Google didn't have everything you've ever said, and hence maybe the government. Dear God.
The Google.
I'm hard of English today. I'm very hard of English today.
Hard of drinking.
Anyway, then possibly the government can subpoena Google to get records of your conversations. So I mean, that could be also another bad thing. Although there is a button on it where you can go off the record.
Legend.
So I kind of like that. So it's like if you don't want stuff to be recorded, you can go off the record. So I mean, they have thought of some things. It's not bad. Although one other thing I did notice, if you haven't got it yet and you're using Gmail, change your settings to English in US, because it makes a huge difference for the amount of features you get on Gmail. One person did it, and he found that his accounts or settings page changed hugely, and essentially the code is not the same from one country to another. So Gmail UK English is different code. So I mean, when they release something new like Gmail and Google Talk rolled in together, they actually have to do a whole pile of recoding, and it's a whole new application rather than just a simple change. So you've got two sets of code, which means it takes way more time to roll out things like this, and a whole pile of people are going, in America are probably going, yay, I find the two together, and everyone in England is going, what's this? I haven't heard anything about it. Bugger. It'll be ages before we get it.
I tell you what's pissing me off. Yahoo Mail developed this fantastic new Ajax client. Everyone's talking about it. Here we are, 3 months later, still using sucky old Yahoo Mail. I want this feature-rich environment. I don't have it. Give it to me. But something just occurred to me actually while we were talking about that. Google putting together all of this dark fibre in the United States, free Wi-Fi, saving your chat history, finding location of where I am, having talking available. All this stuff could come eventually to a point where either you get a Google device or Google more easily and more likely license their software to a mobile manufacturer or whatever. So you have, that's disgusting, always on communication with your friends and family. Always on and always saved. Google's mission, remember, is to store and make available all the world's information. So that's not just books.
Yeah, conversations.
That's everything. And then that is truly terrifying.
Yeah, because I mean, if you couldn't, information is power. So I mean, if Google control all the information, then dun dun dun.
They might as well change their symbol to a giant eye in the sky.
I can imagine Bryn and Paige like in the offices with the white cats going, "Nyah, nyah."
I think Paige is Bryn's white cat. I think he's sitting on his lap and he's screaming.
Strong my cat.
Okay, moving on.
Possibly. Allegedly.
Allegedly. All that you hear in this show is mere speculation, especially the things that are true. Our next story, Anonymous Peer-to-Peer. So we've done a lot, especially a couple of weeks ago, about file shares getting sued and why you should not use LimeWire and so on. Very dangerous and very illegal. But if you are using peer-to-peer networks for legitimate uses like spreading your vidcast or getting documents which are being made available by organisations like the EFF, you might want to do so anonymously, especially if you're logging on from a country where the penalty for freedom of thought is a very painful torture for several hours and the death of your loved ones. So here's how. We've outlined a list of methods. I'm going to go through a few of them briefly. They're all on our wiki. Remember, technolotics.com, and click on the read link, bring you to our wiki. And you can read through them in more detail. But here they are in a real brief run through. So there's really kind of two ways to use peer-to-peer anonymously. You can use a conventional peer-to-peer program and use it through a proxy, which is set up deliberately to anonymize you, an anonymizing proxy, as it were. Or you can use a program specifically designed to be anonymous from the start. These are usually slower, less efficient, but probably quite safer.
Nobody knows who he is.
He is
a file sharer with no name.
No face. That was me trying to do no face, but it's clearly difficult when you have a face. So this is a new program called Mute. Shut up. And Mute works by a method called ant routing. And this is, it replicates the way ants travel in a line. I'm not sure how, but it does. And it encrypts all the data sent and received.
I think it has more to do with ants leave pheromone trails when they find something useful.
There we go.
Because I've studied something like that. It's done in AI.
Excellent.
Because it's just borrowed an idea from nature. So that when ants find something that they like or they found food, they leave a pheromone trail so the other ones follow it. So it's the same thing if you send out hundreds of little dumb agents, they find something that you actually are searching for, and the rest start following it then until it's gone. So they just run off randomly until one finds food, and then they use a pheromone trail, the other ones follow it.
So in the context of the Mute client, how that operates is that essentially when you're communicating with a third party, you're getting a file from Jimmy through the network, bouncing around. Instead of declaring to Jimmy who you are, your IP address, and getting his IP address, you're using a virtual IP address, and these agents are communicating back with Mute Central, if you like, and coordinating the transfer of data. So essentially, you're never revealing to the third party, the attacker, who you really are. And it goes into great detail on the Mute site exactly how this safeguards your privacy. So check this out. We haven't used Mute because we haven't really had a reason.
We don't file share at all.
We wouldn't file share.
We don't share anything actually.
No, I keep everything myself.
Selfish people.
I once kicked a charity man in the street.
Yeah, exactly.
In the ghoulies.
I only give to charities which I already take money off.
I don't even pay that.
Yeah.
But that's because I don't have a job.
We steal from the rich and yeah, that's it.
Spend it on drink. So, other alternatives. If Mute isn't your thing, if it turns out to be suckware, we suggest the I2P BitTorrent proxy. Again, full instructions linked from the wiki. You can put this into Azurus or another BitTorrent client and use it with a degree of anonymity, although, to be fair, BitTorrent not designed for anonymity, so not as safe as a dedicated client. Another option is a thing called a waste. A waste is a private network that you use with friends. There's numerous different kinds of wastes, including WinW. Waste itself is one program which is a waste. And a waste is where you set up a group of people that you trust, say your friends that you know from real life, ideally. You connect all each other's computers up using a waste program like WinW, and you can try files and communicate anonymously and encryptedly with encryption.
That's cool.
So as long as everyone's computer isn't...
Yeah, people have to talk about that.
A darknet, essentially.
Yeah, it's a darknet.
I think a couple of guys from Microsoft wrote the original darknet paper saying how this could be done, and the hackers ran with it, and now we have some useful software.
It's a great idea.
It's absolutely great, especially if you're an activist working in a country like China where access to the net is available but highly restricted, and you need to communicate with people within your country, for example. You can use a service like this to do so anonymously and more safely than through chatting on Google Chat and being watched by one of the 30,000 government agents who observe all internet activity in China.
Hooray!
So check those out again.
Great getting up for work, those people. Hooray! Going to spy on people.
I'm going to watch all day.
Oh.
I might just apply for that job. Our next story, very interesting. If you haven't heard this one, this is quite amazingly surprising. Apple have patented, this isn't the surprising part, but they've patented a couple of touchscreen innovations. A dual-handed touchscreen interface, which is similar to some research work which has been done in Stanford. The video is linked on our website. I'm going to try and play it right now, but if that doesn't work out, look at the website. Okay, so here it's playing, not playing. Okay, this is kind of a really innovative interface whereby you can, it's more than a standard touchscreen. Rather than just having kind of a one-finger pointer, you can use multiple fingers, move your hands around.
Yeah. You can drag,
drop,
so
resize.
You can resize by stretching something, so it's like pulling something so that it gets bigger.
It's a really, really tasty
Like
interface. So they're looking to bring this to, it is speculated, a video iPod. A variety of sites have speculated that this video iPod is on the way, and have made mock-up images of what it's supposedly going to look like. Essentially, it's a rectangular, I think it's got a 5.5 inch screen, or 5.25 inch.
You can imagine your normal iPod, and just rather than having the screen at the top, the whole front of it is just one screen. Imagine that. And rather than your click wheel being, something physical, it's pretty much something on the screen where you just press the screen. So it's a touch screen, and that your click wheel just appears there, and you just use your finger as normal. But the screen is on the background, so it just appears as something transparent. Pretty cool.
Excellent. So you get a large screen size, like on, say, a creative device, like not the Zen Vision or any of those range, but creative of another range. The name escapes me. Which are dedicated purely to video, but they kind of have kludgy buttons at the side and so on, and don't have this nice Apple interface. This is the best of both worlds. You get a nice touchscreen. The only danger is, of course, touching the screen may lead to scrapes. But do check out these shots of the device; they look fantastic. And if this comes out, iPods will still suck, but they will be very much more desirable and even more popular than they are
far
now.
more desirable. Plus, like, you can watch your TV shows sideways, or in
and
whichever
not have to watch
format
them on
you
the
actually
post
like.
instead
So
of screen.
rather than have it like this, you can turn your iPod like that and watch those widescreen movies.
Widescreen. Yeah.
Although it's still a tiny screen, really.
It's still pretty crappy, but it's pretty much PSP, if not bigger. So
Yeah, it's pretty much. Plus, I think the really cool thing is, they can design any interface they want. And
exactly, and they could finally give us some games. It'd be really, really easy to have a game work in that sort of touchscreen manner. Nice little FPS sort of thing.
yeah, exactly. They can create whatever they want. So, I think that's pretty cool.
Pretty sweet.
Plus, it saves them putting buttons and things on it.
No buttons. A buttonless iPod.
Buttonless iPod.
Rock.
Nice.
Let's go. Okay. That's
you need an on button though.
not necessarily. Maybe you just have to tap it like. I don't think it does that.
And the screen will always be on though. Won't that shoot battery?
Yeah, maybe you need an on button. One button iPod.
One button iPod. Yeah.
Rock. Maybe you could flip it around. Anyway. Okay.
Maybe you could just motion sense it or something, like shake it. What?
Okay. Moving on to this week's media pimp.
You go first.
It's a little sensitive. Our first media. Did you? You didn't. Did
What?
You? Okay.
Did I what?
Release wind from your anus.
No.
Okay. First media pimp. Myspace hack. This dude has released a CSS and DHTML hack in which he twists around the Myspace code. You can do it yourself, and he gives full instructions how, and makes a sweet front end for his Myspace profile, so he doesn't have any ads, and it just looks really customized and looks really,
beautiful.
really, really tasty.
It looks proper.
It is pink, but other than that, it
You
looks.
can surely change the colour pretty
You
easily.
can change the colour. It's proper bow. Check it out, and he tells you how to do it. Now, let's be fair. His profile will be deleted when this is found, because this is a complete violation of terms of service. He's deleting their ads and all the rest of it. But yours may not be. If you're willing to run the risk, try it.
Well, could you get around? Could you just keep? Is it just getting rid of the ads? Is what? Is breaching the terms of service?
I don't know. I think doing this at all is breaching the terms of service. It's a really radical transformation. I'm not sure they want that to be done to the site.
But like compared to what other people do on their websites, the pathetic attempts at HTML and just horrible flashing stuff that will cause an epileptic fit to anyone, and just it's pain for the eyes, really.
Speaking of flashing things, if you have us on your Bebo Flashbox, do let us know. We've heard rumours that we're circling around the internet on Bebo Flashboxes, but we haven't seen them. We would like to meet these B-Bytes. Okay, secondly, Clay Shirks, no, that's not his name, Shirky, it's a little typo. Clay Shirky is a guy who writes about the internet, technology and so on, and his stuff is brilliant. I was reading a lot of it today, researching one of our stories, and it goes into Web 2.0 stuff and just all the various stuff, aspects of tech culture and artificial intelligence and so on. Check it out. Buzzword. Criticising them, critiquing them. He's very, very cynical about the whole buzzword culture. Very articulate, and his site is really well designed. It's not all glitzy, but usability, click on an article, that's it. Really, really nice, clean design, check it out. Shirky.com, linked from the wiki. Finally, Colour Blender, if you're designing a site and you're looking for complementary colours and a range of different shades and tones, and the Photoshop and Illustrator profiles for those colours. This is the site for you, colourblender.com. It's really, really, really sweet. It just does what it says in the tin. If you ever design a site and you're trying to match the colours, it can be a pain.
Essentially, yeah.
Really
Especially if you're trying to like put in a photo or something like that and working off colour design off that. You're trying to get the colours in and getting complementary colours. Because usually you're trying to minimise the number of colours, but also get enough that you can differentiate things. Be a bit of a pain. Because normally all you do is you just get one colour and then change it slightly and make it lighter shades. It's just a bit of a pain in the ass.
There's loads of software available to make it get two colours, like the complement of a colour, or the what's the other one? Complementary colours and contradictory. I don't know. Anyway, contrasting colours. But there's very few pieces of software which will do, or websites which will do this. So on to your media pimp.
My media pimp. Okay, first of all we have the Quite American. So like, if you've never left home, never travelled anywhere, you can listen to this guy's recordings from various places around the world. Good sound quality, and you actually get a feel for a completely different world, a different place. I found it quite interesting. Something definitely just for try it out and click on the links and just listen. It's pretty cool, I must say. I liked it. I quite enjoyed it, just pottering around the website for a while. Potter, potter, Peter Potter, 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 Twitter, Potter, Potter. Anywho, my second two are both videos. My first one is Macgyver Returns. So for all you Macgyver fans out there, you get to see Macgyver in his old age.
Missing his mullet though.
Missing his mullet, yeah, that is rather sad. I knew there was something wrong about the whole thing. That and
that's something.
The whole thing that
Is
it was
this?
like sponsored by MasterCard. It's one of those priceless ads, but it has Macgyver. It's
Still got Macgyver.
It's still not Macgyver, I mean, cool. And my third one is Brokeback to the Future. So if you've seen Brokeback Mountain, with your girlfriend of course, and you love Back to the Future,
With your girlfriend, of course.
with your girlfriend of course, then what if they met in a strange alternative universe to form Brokeback to the Future? Up a mountain. So like, we must go back in time, up a mountain.
Have you seen Brokeback Mountain yet?
No.
Very good movie. Highly recommend it. Very gay, but the gays are our friends, so that's cool. Still like the girls though.
Yeah, the gays are just our friends.
Just our friends.
Platonic friends.
Platonic. Not the gay way. With the gay. Moving on.
Oh dear. Let's cast aside the shovels that we're digging a nice big hole for ourselves with. Hold on while I get an excavator.
So we hope you enjoyed last week's Accelerated Show! And weren't too scared, frightened, or bewildered by it. If it confused you, you're thick. If it entertained you, well, you're probably thick too. But we're glad. We're very glad.
Technologics.